Synchronicities and what do they mean is the topic of our discussion today. I find great inspiration from the daily synchronicities that unfold throughout the day, that I'm just presented with as my day and each moment unfolds. Incredible synchronicities, and I've been tuning into them for all my life, I guess. But I remember when I first read the book, The Celestine Prophecy, which is a lot of it's about the synchronistic events that happen and how we're on the right track when things like that happen. And when I read that book, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one. This is going back about 20 years or so when I first read that book. And before that, I thought I might have been crazy or something. I'm not crazy, but I don't know. I didn't want to talk to anyone about what I was experiencing. But then when I read the book, I'm like, okay, other people experience this as well. It's not just me. And so some people don't. Some people rationalize synchronistic events and say, well, they're just coincidences, and there's a million other things that happen throughout the day that aren't coincidences. So of course, some coincidences are going to happen, right? But that's the limitations of the rational mind. Some people have very highly developed rational minds, and in some arenas in life, that can be very valuable, right? We definitely need those people. And there are also limitations to having a highly developed, let's say, rational mind. There are limitations to it, because we'll only be scratching the surface of life as we just stay in the material plane of the five senses. And we don't go beyond that. We don't make a real connection to our soul and to other dimensional planes, and what's beyond the veil. And the universe, let's say, it's called the universe, is communicating with us. Our soul is communicating with us, and we're communicated to through synchronicities. Same way the body is always communicating to us. When I say to people, well, what's your body saying? They say, well, what's your body saying? What do you mean? What's my body saying? Well, does it make your body feel heavier, lighter? Is there pain? Is there, what's your body saying? If someone has a pain in the body, well, what's that communicating? The body communicates, right? The soul communicates as well, right? The universe, on a more subtle level, there's a communication coming through, and that happens with synchronicities, right? It also happens on the other way, is if something keeps on happening to us, or we keep on hurting ourselves in the same way, or we keep on making the same mistake over and over again, that's a communication. And the lesson will get more and more painful each time we ignore it, right? It'll come back and hit us harder each time until we get the message. Same with synchronicities, Synchronicities mean we've come to a sort of higher path. And we're on the path. That's what the synchronicities are saying. Look, you're on the right track here, yeah? Keep going with this. And incredible ones happen with me. Like just yesterday, the reason that I just started thinking about this video now to make it was I went to the beach yesterday with family, and I got down there to where we're going to set up our stuff. And there's a woman sitting there, and she's reading a book on the beach. The book was open. I did not see the cover of the book. And her kids came over and knocked some sand over or something. And she started shouting and yelling at her kids. Like really over the top. They're on the beach, there's sand, of course it's going to go over stuff, and they're kids, right? If she was sitting in a restaurant, the kid came and picked up sand from the beach, came and threw it over the table, then maybe she'd have cause to get upset, right? But they're running around on the beach. So anyway, she went way over the top, completely out of consciousness, lost herself, shouting at these kids. And I noticed she was reading a book, but she's quite far away and I could not see the cover. She had the book open, and I got suddenly transported back to a time when I was on the London Underground in rush hour, and I had The Power of Now with me from Ekhart Tolle. I was reading that, and I was in rush hour in London Underground. I got crammed onto this train, and there's a guy standing beside me who's kind of crammed on as well, and he's holding a book in his hand. And out of curiosity, I'm just like, I wonder what he's reading. I really wanted to know what he was reading. And I could have glanced and I'm like, oh my God, he's reading The Power of Now, a practical guide. I was reading The Power of Now, and he had The Power of Now, a practical guide in his hand. And we're standing right beside each other. Millions of people go on the London Underground every morning, and we're standing literally right beside each other. And I notice the book he's reading, and I say, hey, look, check that out. And he's like, oh my God, that's incredible. What are the chances? What are the chances? You know, it's mind-boggling. Millions and millions and millions to one. I don't know, billions maybe. Who knows? And so we sparked up a conversation, had a good conversation, right? And then I was standing on the beach yesterday, and I got transported back to that, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be ironic and amazing if she was actually reading The Power of Now right now? Wouldn't that be amazing? Especially because she's just yelling at her kids, and she's in her pain body. And if you've been a student of Ekhart Tolle, you know what that means. She was in her pain body and yelling at her kids. She wasn't in the now at all. And then the kids went off, and suddenly, it's like she did it for my own benefit, turned the book over and showed me she was reading The Power of Now. What are the fucking chances? Ridiculous odds. Absolutely ridiculous odds. No bookie would take them. You know, billion to one more. You know. And I thought she's reading The Power of Now, and she's just gone off crazy. Then I thought, she's only about 30 pages in. She'll maybe get it by the end of the book, right? But yeah, that's like the coincidences I face on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I face these sort of coincidences. Sometimes I ask myself a question: is this the right decision? You know, the other night I had a decision to make. I was getting in my car and thinking, is this the right decision to make? You know, turned on my car, and the time was 10:22 on a 24 o'clock. So it said 2222, and the temperature was 22 degrees. So it said 2222 all the way across my dash. And if you look up angel numbers and what those mean, 222, 3 twos in a row. I had 6 twos in a row. You know, this is communication, right? Communication from the universe. That you're on the right track. This is a good decision to make. Yeah. So yeah, notice the synchronicities. Start to notice them. It's a different frequency. Once you get on that frequency, you got to let go of the rationalizing. You know, because you keep on rationalizing it, then the universe goes, well, he's not interested in this communication, is he or her or whatever. So don't rationalize it. Because rationalizing is rationalizing. So you're rationing lies to the mind when you rationalize. So rationalizing can go way against you. Can go really against you. So just be very careful with it, and be open. Be open to the mysterious and magic that can happen all around us, and it can. Mysterious magic can happen all around us if we're open to it. It was Carl Jung. He was one of the pioneers of synchronicity, right? And he used it in his therapy, and he found people with highly developed rational minds. He found them to be difficult cases, difficult patients to get breakthroughs, because of the level he was working on. He's working on a more subtle sort of level with his therapies. He's working in the esoteric a lot of the time, yeah. And so he had this lady in who he found very, very difficult to make any progress with in the therapy. And she was telling him about a dream. She had a highly developed rational mind as well. She was stuck in a rational mind, let's say. And she was telling him about a dream. And she says, well, the dreams have no meanings. It's just the mind just kind of making up stuff from the day before. And he says, well, tell me the dream. And she says, well, I was dreaming about this beetle, but not any type of beetle. It was an Egyptian type beetle with a special kind of design on the back. And I forget the name of it. A special design on the back of the beetle. And she described the beetle exactly. And just as she's describing it, he heard a dunk, dunk, dunk on the window. And so he goes over to the window, and he opens the window, and this beetle, this Egyptian beetle, flies in. The exact same beetle that she was describing. And it flies in, flies around the room, and he ends up catching the beetle and goes over to her, opens his hand and says, "Is this the beetle from your dream?" And at that moment, she had her breakthrough. Suddenly, it all fell down, and she synced with her right hemisphere of her brain, and had a massive breakthrough in her therapy. Before that, she was resisting everything because she had to rationalize everything. But that was just too big a synchronicity for her rational mind. Had to fall apart, right? So as that came crashing down, it allowed an opening for what she needed to come through. So, just a few interesting stories there to get you thinking, and maybe as I'm saying this, you're thinking about different synchronicities that are happening in your life. How do you interpret them? Synchronicities are really happening on a level of frequency from other dimensional planes, from coming through your soul. What's it? Your job is to align with them and to listen to them and to follow their messages. So do that. Just look at the different synchronicities. If none are happening, then just to say, look, I'm going to be open to these synchronicities. Show me some, and they'll start appearing. And what you can do is, because you can attach different meaning onto them, but attach an empowering meaning. And generally, when you make decisions through the synchronicities, you'll be on the right track. Synchronicities basically means, in a nutshell, you're on the right track. Okay, thanks for watching. Tune in next time. Remember to subscribe, like the videos, leave a comment. I'd like to hear some of your synchronicities, and share the video. Thanks. See you.